All right, guys, the Diddy trial is coming to an end. There was closing arguments, and it's supposed to be completed by this week. Closing arguments from both the prosecution and the defense is supposed to last for hours, with the prosecution estimating that their closing arguments is going to be somewhere around 4 hours. Diddy chose not to take the witness stand, which is his right, and the defense did not call any witnesses. Now, there's a lot of speculation about why they decided to go that route and whatever else, but I want to remind people again, especially even Americans who are not familiar with the judicial system in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty, which means you do not need to prove your innocence. The prosecution needs to prove your guilt. You are automatically in this country, even though the system doesn't always work that way. Ideally, how the system is supposed to be is that you are automatically innocent of any accusation, and it is against the accuser and the prosecution who needs to convince your jury, your peers, of your guilt. You don't need to convince them of your innocence. You're automatically innocent. But there was breaking news this morning, and that breaking news was that the prosecution had decided to drop certain charges against Sean Combs. They decided to drop the arson charge. That was one of the stronger cross-examination of Diddy's defense. So a lot of people felt that Capricorn Clark was not a very reliable witness. There were a lot of things in her testimony that Combs' defense was able to poke holes in. So they are dropping the kidnapping charges related to her. They are also dropping the aiding and abetting charges in the sex trafficking charges. So they're dropping a few charges against him. Now, they're not dropping all the sex trafficking charges against him. So we'll see. The prosecution has already been able to dismiss one juror that was already seated in the 12-peer jury. They were looking to strike another juror, and the defense is arguing that the first juror that was already seated that was struck was a black man. The defense thought it was prejudicial to their client that you're removing black people from the jury, you know. This is supposed to be a jury of his peers. The jury box is supposed to be his peers, right? And like, if you're not having a black person on that jury, is that really your peer then? You're being judged? And that does go back to a lot of like the Jim Crow laws and whatever, because it would be like white men judging black people accused of crimes, alleged crimes. Anyway, so that was brought up. The prosecution wanted to strike another juror, a woman, and it was because, you know, it seemed as if she was not really siding with what the prosecution was saying, but that's not really grounds to struck someone. Just because you see a jury is maybe not believing everything that you're presenting, that's not reasonable enough to dismiss a juror that has already been seated. So that's all been going on. What do you think so far of this latest? Do you think he will be acquitted? It is very hard to get 12 people to agree to the same thing. You don't need to get 12 people to agree to your innocence. You need to get 12 people to agree to your guilt. There's only one person that needs to say, no, he's innocent, and that's the end of it. But all 12 people need to agree that you're guilty to get a conviction.